I'm really curious what you mentioned there being a theology major. Is there a role, or have you seen kind of a role for faith in communicating that message about, adaptive capacity? Uh, or has that been something that you've seen take an important role for players or for docs?
Oh, I think it's absolutely critical and not talked about enough.
Mhm.
Interesting enough, the players, they get that, they understand that. And to them, of course, resiliency is not a bad word because, I always believe, again, sticking with medicine and football, there's three fundamental insights about how you get through a difficult job and how do you do that without burning out.
Mm,
One is every player is a leader.
mm,
Every physician, every nurse, every housekeeper in the hospital is a leader. Lead yourself and lead your team.
mm,
Two is, just like my NFL athletes, everyone involved in healthcare is a performance athlete involved in this cycle of performance, rest, and recovery.
mm,
And the idea that you can do his job as stressful as playing before 80,000 people in the stands and 80 million people on TV, or being in the operating room or the emergency department or the psychiatry ward or wherever it might be, is performance. And
mm,
that requires rest and recovery. And the third is the work begins within. Um, yes, there are systemic problems. Yes, there are operational problems. I like to make the distinction between organizational resiliency and personal resiliency. Organizational resiliency is the culture of the organization and the systems and processes in which we have to work, which, as
mm.
you know, are sometimes fairly tortured,
Right.
but also fairly tortured with the players as well. They go through, you'll hear a coach say, well, we gotta have contact so we can knock the rust off. And, I feel like calling them up and saying, well, why don't I send one of my offensive tackles over and he'll knock the rust off you.
Right,
Put your mind in a position where you realize that's not going to help them
right.
be ready to play football.
Mm,
So that mental, physical, spiritual dimension is an absolutely palpable and understood dimension to our players, just as it is and should be for people who are caring for others in healthcare.